Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Grant Cohn, joined by Botond, the expert from Hungary. We have some stuff to talk about today. Topics are a little dry. The Niners play a practice tomorrow in front of the media. There'll be new stuff to talk about then. We're getting prepared for that. So the way I wanted to look at it is like this. Botond and I are usually pretty negative. That's our brand here. But I feel like we've been a little more positive this offseason. I think it's because the Niners have really taken their roster in new directions, made some good decisions, and it feels like they're really starting to take our advice to heart, really listening to our suggestions and using the quality control department, which is what it's there for. So I'd like to give ourselves some credit today. This is a show where Botond and I take credit for all the good things we've done for the 49ers the last year or two. All the people that we ran out of town who deserve to get run out of town. Nothing personal, but we're quality control. We're supposed to make sure only the best players are on this team. And I think we've done a great job. What do you think, Botond?
First of all, as always, glad to be here. Thanks for having me in your show. It's kind of weird off-season because I'm not as negative as I am usual.
Right.
So it's quite hard to be myself in this off-season because what I must say is that I'm okay with all the things that this team did in the past few weeks or the past few months, except they didn't draft a real receiver during the draft, but that's okay. That's okay, I think. So
no one's perfect, but really it's flattering how much they have leaned on us this offseason and agreed with our conclusions. So before we move on and start looking ahead to OTAs in the season, let's just give ourselves some credit because this team would not look the way it does right now without us. Yeah. So let's go player by player. Guys, we ran out of town that deserved to get their bags packed. Let's start with Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is very interesting. I mean, he was good at a certain point, but then this offseason, he started talking a little too much. During the season, he was like, Niners can't afford me. I'm probably not coming back next year. I'm just going to be too expensive. They got to bring back Fred Warner, Trent Williams. Well, you know what? That wasn't the issue. It's not that he's too expensive. It's that they don't need him. They have Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore. Anyone could have Richard Sherman. The Niners are one of those teams, and we made a very strong case for why they don't need him, and it feels like they agree with us. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I have my deepest, without sarcasm, I have my deepest respect for Richard Sherman because when he came to San Francisco, he gave a new face to this defense. This defense was great with Richard Sherman. He was a huge part of our Super Bowl rush in 2019. And I really liked how he played cornerback, but you have to admit that he is not getting any younger. And he can be burned by receivers who are really fast. And there may be some personal issues with Richard, which we don't know right now. Well, thank you, Richard. I liked you when you played for the 49ers, but I don't think that we need your talent anymore.
I think he thinks the Niners need him. He thinks they need his leadership, his voice, that he's like he's a senior member of this team. And I think he's really wrong. I think the best thing that happened to the Niners last season was him leaving the field, Jason Verrett stepping on, and them changing their entire defensive philosophy from zone coverage to man coverage. Yeah. He can't play that way. And the Niners have found success playing a different way that doesn't suit him. So I don't think they need him at all. If he said, hey, I'd be willing to play for $900,000, we don't need you, man. You talk too much. You need to be a leader, a voice of the team. You're like a backup at this point in your career. Your skill set doesn't match up with what the Niners are doing. And I really feel that even though all those things are true, that the Niners would have brought him back for all the wrong reasons. You know, he's cheap. He's a leader. No, move on. And so far, it seems like they are good going. I'm impressed.
Yeah, but to be honest, I still think that he can be a great or at least decent free safety in zone coverage for anything because he has the intelligence. He is a true ball hawk, but he can't play cornerback anymore because he doesn't have that speed. anymore.
Right. And again, he's acting like, I want to go to a contender. I want to go to the best. I'm taking my time. No, man, just go any place that'll pay you $900,000 a year to play safety.
Yep.
Anywhere. Otherwise, your career might be over. Quality control. I'm just being professional. Sorry. Okay. More people that we ran out of town. Solomon Thomas. This is a guy that the Niners were heavily invested in, number 3 pick. Every offseason, you had the entire press corps saying he looks good. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. He's going to make a jump. He's got his mind clear. He's in great shape. I mean, the whole Bay Area was pulling for this guy. He went to Stanford. Very heart-wrenching story. Just not a good football player. And I was afraid the Niners were going to bring him back. You know, the way they've stuck with some guys, that they were going to give him a little bit of money to come back and work with Chris Kosurik, and they didn't. They let him go and sign people like Maurice Hurst and Arden Key, who honestly I think are better. And I don't know if they would have come this far to go from taking him number 3 to 4 years later being like, you know what, Botond and Grant were right. That's tremendous strides.
Well, to be honest, I've never thought that Solomon Thomas deserved that pick that the 49ers gave up for him during that draft. I've never liked him. I've never seen that upside that other people said that that guy has a tremendous upside. I've never thought that he could have that. He was never good for this team. He never played well. He played sometimes okay or decent or things like that, but you are not expecting an okay play for a 3rd pick during the draft. I'm glad that Kyle and John made the decision that they would let him go. So best wishes, Solomon. I've never thought that you could be a real starter for this 49ers defensive line, and I don't think that you will be a starter in the future.
I think letting him go is a sign of growth for this front office because he was their biggest mistake that they've made so far. And they've made some big ones, and they really have been reluctant to admit it. But it would have been easy for them to say, you know what, he tore his ACL. He was trending in the right direction. We're going to give him a 1-year deal, bring him back. Just because we've invested 4 years and $25 million into him, we want to see something. They could have done that. And they're like, you know what, we're wrong. We were wrong to draft Solomon Thomas. Every one of his backups are better than him. Kentavious Street, Kevin Given. We don't have a spot for him on our roster. Let's let him go. Let's let the Raiders make a bad choice. I thought that was a tremendously mature move from a team that made a terrible decision drafting him in the first place.
Yeah, I think that this was one of the few times when Kyle and John admitted that they were making the wrong decision signing a guy for this team. So I'm okay with that. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, John. I don't say that we were right for the whole time, but we were right for the whole time. So
they're right the whole time. I mean, they've been trying to play Solomon Thomas for a long time. If you go back, he got a lot of playing time with the Niners. We were always saying it wasn't warranted. He didn't earn it, and he's gone. So good. We did our part.
See you, Thomas.
See you, dude. Raiders, good luck with that. All right. Yeah. Trent Taylor. This guy, it just hangs around, man. He gets the league minimum contract, and it seemed like he was going to stay on this team forever because he's friends with George Kittle and Kyle Shanahan. And he is like a fringe NFL player. The Niners let him go, and now he's on the Bengals. So the Niners could have justified keeping him because he's part of the family, but they didn't. They let him go because I think we raised such a stink every time he was in the game. It's like, wait a second, man. He might be an NFL player, but he's not as good as Richie James. He's not as good as Richie James Jr. and got a lot more playing time than Richie James Jr. I thought that was always wrong. I never understood how that happened. It's like one guy's friends with George Kittle, so he gets to be the slot receiver. Is that how it works on this team? So I think we finally brought that to attention. Like, hey, Trent Taylor hasn't earned any of his playing time. He needs to get the hell out of town. And they're like, yeah, you know, it's probably true. George, sorry. I know he's your best friend, but we just can't sell this to the fans anymore.
Yeah, I'm sad because we lost the personal mascot of George Kittle, and I'm really concerned how George can bounce back after this huge loss that he had with the 49ers releasing Trent Taylor. I think it was the right decision for Trent. It was the right decision for the team because he just couldn't give anything to this offense. He is not a great receiver. He is not a great returner. I think it's time for him to reach his dream and to be a PV football coach, but we will see what will happen.
He's also very good at ping pong. I've seen him play.
Yeah.
Excellent at ping pong. Used to play tennis, got great hand-eye coordination. Football, though, not his thing. And I really felt like the Niners had 5 spots on their roster every year for just like friends of the family. You know what I mean? If you kind of know someone, you can be on the team, maybe get a little run in the game. And he was definitely in there. They had him returning punts. Like, oh my God. we kind of let him go because he was good as a rookie. He's 5'7". It's almost like he's not supposed to be good. And pointing it out is obvious, but it's like, no, he does not need to be on this team. He does not need to be on this roster. They have way better wide receivers. Richie James Jr. is going to get a shot this year because Trent Taylor's gone, and we fought for that. So good for us.
Yeah, it's good for us. I'm happy for that. And I do think that we kept him in the team because I feel like Kyle just wanted the Westbacker for the 49ers, a Westbacker type of receiver. But to be honest, Trent Taylor never was like Westbacker.
And then they hired Wes Welker to be the wide receiver coach. And he's like, yeah, this guy's nothing like me. He's like me. It was bad. Let's go back to Solomon real quick. Raymond says Solomon was highly rated in the 2017 draft. Some guys just don't pan out. The way I remember this is that he was not highly rated until the combine. Until the combine, he was a guy who had basically one good year at Stanford. And if you look at that year, he basically had like 2 or 3 good games. He played well in his bowl game against Mitch Trubisky. And he had a couple other games with a few sacks, but he did not produce much at Stanford. And then he went to the combine and tested like he was Aaron Donald. People were like, whoa, this guy is he could be an edge rusher. He could do anything. No, he just combine hero. That's the way it went with Solomon Thomas. And I guess, all the draft prognosticators thought he was a high pick, but that was all because of the combine.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Moving on, things we did great. Tevin Coleman. Now, they let him go. He kind of left quietly in the night. The Jets signed him. Why? But I still feel like we were a little late on this. Like we could have been harder, man. We got rid of him in 2021, but if we had gotten him benched in 2019 and Jeff Wilson Jr. had taken his spot full time, I think the Niners would have a Super Bowl ring right now. So I kind of feel like it's bittersweet. We did our part, but too late.
Yeah, that's sure. I've never understood why we drafted running back with glass type of bones, an injury-prone player who is not great at all, who was great at some point of his career, but it was just 1 or 2 years. I've never liked when we signed him. It was just because of Kyle Shanahan. And best wishes for him, but I don't see that he can just resurrect his career anywhere in the NFL. He's just bad.
J-Bad says, dude should have never been signed in the first place. Yeah. He was okay in Atlanta, but I feel like he was kind of one of these artificial turf creations. He looked faster in Atlanta. He came to the Niners and looked slow to me. They built him as this guy like, hey, home run hitter, man. Once you get him in the open field, they don't catch Tevin Coleman. Like, that's not the guy I saw. What I saw from Tevin Coleman was a guy who kind of tiptoed to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
He hit that hole softer than anyone on the team. He was like up to the line of scrimmage and then would get knocked back and gain 2 yards. That was the Tevin Coleman experience, man.
I think the softest one to hit the hole was Jerick McKinnon, to be honest, because Tevin Coleman at least had some explosiveness. But McKinnon lost it all. So
yeah,
he wasn't the worst running back we had in the past 2 years, but he was one of them.
He ran for like 50 yards this year.
Yeah.
He's an abomination. I'm sorry, Tevin. Guy got a ton of money and looked slow. He never had any snap with the Niners. What is that? I don't know. Seemed like he was a wasted signing. He never should have played. I still say if the Niners had given his playing time to Jeff Wilson Jr. in 2019, they would have won the Super Bowl. Tevin Coleman's carries were such a waste of time the entire time. He had one good game against Carolina, maybe. Played all right in a couple games. Maybe Minnesota in the playoffs. Who cares? Tevin Coleman wasted money, wasted time. He might have cost the Niners a Super Bowl ring. So I really feel bad. We could have done better here. Not our best effort.
But I wouldn't blame him because we talked about it before that there is no rule which stops you playing gadget plays with Deebo Samuel.
True.
And did in the first half, and he forgot to do in the second. So it wasn't because of Tevin Coleman. He may have a part of it, but yeah,
right. It's not our fault they didn't win the Super
bad.
Bowl. It's Kyle's fault. That's true. I'm not going to take that. That's still on Kyle. Napa says Trent Taylor's going to open a laundromat in 3 years. Ooh. There's money in that. Daniel says Julio Jones just said he's done with the Falcons, laughed at Cowboys trade. Clear signal he wants to be a Niner. What are we giving up to get him? It's a clear signal he wants to be a Niner. What about the Patriots? Wasn't there a report that he wants to go to the Patriots? So not sure that it's a clear signal of that, but the Niners are in the play. I mean,
not sure if we want to give up anything for Julio Jones. Not sure if we have anything to give up for Julio Jones. We have, who can we give up for him? D Ford. Who wants to give anything for D Ford? No one, I think.
I wouldn't give up a pick, but I'd give up a player. I have a player right now. Debo.
Why?
Same position.
Yeah.
He's younger, but he's got injury issues too. Even if he plays well this year, it's a guy I wouldn't necessarily want to give a second contract to. I was thinking about trading him down the line anyway for picks, but Julio's a better player than Debo Samuel.
Yeah, at the position of wide receiver,
Yep.
I agree. But Debo has way more job in this offense than just being a wide receiver. I think that he is a key player for this offense. He is a key player for Kyle Shanahan's gadget offense. And I think if he can stay healthy next season, he may have a career year next season.
Fair. And he's 10 years younger.
I'm not necessarily saying that he is going to have the most receiving yards, but I truly think that on all-purpose yards, he can be the best in the NFL.
Isaac says, look for Ayuk during OTA. He visited my work on Saturday. Looks like he worked his butt off in the offseason. I think he looks ready for a massive year 2. Yeah, that's the thing I've seen with Ayuk. When he came to training camp last year, I was really surprised at his body. I mean, just he looked like a vet. Most rookies don't look like NFL players. They're not as strong. They haven't been working out 24/7 like NFL vets have, and they're kids. Ayuk looked like all he does is work out. And he tore up practices right away. He's a hell of a player. I don't expect him like with Dante Pettis. You'd watch him play, you're like, man, that's a really good wide receiver for a guy who's never lifted a weight in his life. Never lifted a weight. You saw him with his shirt off. It's like, man, that's what I look like. Nice, Dante. It's amazing how you're doing this. Ayuk is like Dante Pettis with muscles and courage. So yeah, the thing with Ayuk, I think, is also people talk about it, but injuries too. He missed 4 games last year, and he had a core muscle surgery injury coming into the league, which is why he ran a 4.5 or whatever. But yeah, dude's gonna be in great shape. Good call, Isaac.
Yep.
More guys we ran out of town. We mentioned this dude earlier, but how about Jerick McKinnon? They gave this guy like $30 million. He started 4 games last year. Anytime the Niners sink this much money into a player, they kind of hang him, like keep him around. They're like, you know what? They don't adhere to the sunk cost fallacy. They're like, you know what? Instead of saying we've wasted $30 million on you, that's enough. We're walking away. They're like, well, let's bring you back and see if we can get something. A lot of the time, but not with McKinnon. Now McKinnon saying, hell no, I don't want to be here anymore. Maybe that was something, but I think it was fair to say, Kyle, this is another guy you were wrong about. Whatever you thought you saw, he doesn't have anymore. He's worse than Austin Walter, JaMychal Hasty, every running back on your practice squad. He shouldn't have been on the team. Again, I feel like we should have been harder about this during the season, but at least they listen to us now.
To be honest, I never understood why we signed him. Okay, I understand that we signed him because he has good hands. He had the ability to be the 5th wide receiver on the field when he was healthy. But after that injury, to be honest, I've never understood why we re-signed him, why we tried him at all, why those people couldn't say that he is slow as heck in the training camp, because he is slow. He's not a great running back anymore. He's not a great NFL player anymore. So
he was never great.
Yep.
He was a 3rd or 2nd string running back in Minnesota. And he was the kind of guy that he was never a physical runner. He was fast.
Yeah.
And look at how the Niners offense has changed. Back in 2018, they wanted to be fast. They had guys like McKinnon, Pettis, Goodwin. I mean, small guys. Now it's all Trey Sherman, Aaron Banks, Debo, George Kittle, big guys that run you over.
Yeah.
So it just showed a failed roster philosophy. They went soft and small. and the guy broke down before he even stepped on the field. It was one of the worst signings of all time, or in Niners history, man. They just gave this guy money to retire.
Yeah, and after that, after he realized that he will leave the 49ers after these seasons, and after that wasted $30 million, I would have just shut my mouth without saying any bad things about this franchise. So I don't have any good words for him. Just leave and forget us, and hopefully we can forget you in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jerick, you made probably like $2 million in Minnesota. You know, if it weren't for the 49ers, you'd be a dude who made probably, you know, $1 million after taxes or whatever. You have some money to save, and you could tell your grandkids that you were in the NFL for like 3-4 years and didn't get a second contract, and you were okay. You were all right. But no, that's not going to be your life. You're going to be super mega rich the rest of your life, and you're going to be vacationing in Cabo and chilling in the VIP at the club because of the Niners. Because the Niners made a horrible mistake and gave you $25 million. And that's going to be your lifestyle the rest of the year. You should be grateful, man. You didn't earn that. They made a mistake. You get to profit off that the rest of your life. Be grateful. What did they do to you? Except set you and your kids up forever. Good job. That's all I'm saying. I couldn't believe what he said. All right, let's keep going. Dante Pettis. Now, this was last year. But this is a guy that they gave a bunch of chances to. They traded up to take him in round 2, and then they traded him for basically nothing and replacing him with River Craycraft. I thought that was a personal victory because I said this was the wrong pick from the beginning. I've been saying the guy couldn't go over the middle. I've been saying he was weak, and he didn't like to hear it. His sister didn't like to hear it. The team didn't like to hear it. And then they're like, you know what? Graham was right. Botond, he had it.
Yeah, the famous dancing cat boy. Wow. Oof. Dante, I liked Dante at the first
Me too.
When he was in the 49ers, and I honestly
unique, smart, seemed like a cool guy.
Yeah, and then honestly thought that he may improve for his next season. He may be better, but he was worse, and things just getting worse. And I'm happy that we released him. We don't need that type of receiver for this team. Just imagine Deebo Samuel, who is a monster, Brandon Ayuk, who is a monster, George Kittle, who is a monster, Trey Sherman, who is going to be a monster, Raheem Mostert, who is a monster, Jeff Wilson, who is a monster, and Dante Pettis, the cat guy.
I think Dante Pettis is the softest professional athlete I've ever covered. And I mean that. I mean, what makes him soft? I feel like he had never been confronted with criticism in his entire life. He's Gary Pettis' son. Gary Pettis is a famous baseball player. He was the center fielder for the Angels in the 80s, Gold Glover. A legend, Gary Pettis. So Dante Pettis, when he's in middle school playing on a team or in high school, everyone knows who he is. The coaches know. They're overjoyed. The kid's a great athlete. I'm sure he was great at every sport he played. Then he goes to Washington. No one's mad at him in Washington. I'm sure all the coaches are happy at him, and he was a star on campus. And then you get to the NFL, and then you get Kyle Shanahan as your coach, and you come into the year 2 a little out of shape. You didn't really work out that hard. You look terrible in training camp, and Jimmy Garoppolo's pissed at you. Everyone's right, and you're not looking that good. And now you're getting the wrath of Kyle and me. And you know what? I'm not that tough. I poked fun at Dante Pettis, but really, I think the issue was Kyle. Kyle doesn't mince words. It's private, but I don't think Dante had ever been talked to like that before. And he would almost like hint about it like, hey, Kyle stepped over the line. That's what he would talk. Like in training camp last year, he's like, I went through a lot, and one day I'm going to get it off my chest, and I'm going to speak on this. Like, nah, man, you never will. What Kyle was trying to do was get you to care, and you didn't. And you folded at the first time someone said, hey, what the hell are you doing, man? Sorry, I think he's one of the softest professional athlete I ever covered.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I think that neither Wes Welker liked him. Because if you remember Wes, he was a small guy, a relatively small guy, but a really tough guy.
Yes.
Concussions proved that he had
lived over the middle. Dante wouldn't go over the middle.
Yeah. Dante just, a contact.
No, I don't want to go over the middle. I'm a big play threat outside like he's Randy Moss or something, man. No, go over the middle, dude. Who do you think you are? Jerry Rice went over the middle.
Yeah.
He had alligator arms in minicamp, rookie minicamp. I saw it in May of 2018, I'm like, this guy's not going to work out. And everyone was focused on his one-on-one stuff. Like, he's killing people in one-on-one. That's great. That's not football. That's not football. If you beat your corner and you run a slant, you don't have to worry about getting smacked by a linebacker. In 11-on-11, you do. And he was worried. I could see it. He was worried in non-contact practices, man. And look, he was just a rookie, but I've seen a lot of professional football players that don't do that. So that was a bad sign. That was a very bad sign. I was right. I'm sorry, but the Niners listen, and they know we have a really good track record. CJ says, "Who's going to be in the doghouse this season?" Ooh, any quick guess?
I don't know.
Going to be in the doghouse this season. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who could it be? It was Akello last year. Dante the year before then. It could be like someone they drafted that just hasn't panned out. It could be Debo. Let's say Debo pulls his hamstring again. You know what I'm saying? Kyle's like, again. Did we talk about this? So it could be Debo.
Yeah.
Although they need him. They need him so bad. I wouldn't expect it to be Debo. But if we had to pick someone, I don't know.
Arik.
Mcglinchey. Armstead. Yeah, possible. Good question. All right, let's keep it moving because we've really done a lot more good work. Let's get to the quarterbacks. CJ Beathard is no longer on the 49ers. I didn't think I'd see the day. I honestly thought they would keep him like forever as a backup. That he was going to be one of these guys who has a 10-year, 15-year career as a backup for no reason. And this is where I think people like you talk about black quarterbacks not getting the same opportunity or guys like Colin Kaepernick getting shut out. What the hell has CJ Beathard done to earn a long career as a backup? What does he do? Why? Why does he get to hang around on a roster? I don't like the Niners let him hang around for 4 years. I don't understand what Jacksonville is thinking, but that's their problem now. The Niners, thank you for letting this stiff leave and bringing in guys with potential. Thank you. This guy has no business on a roster. I don't see is it the work ethic? Because I don't see that. Or the talent? I don't see that. I'm sorry.
But he is tough.
I guess.
That's everything Kyle Shanahan is looking for in a quarterback. No, he is bad. He was bad. I've never seen a sign of improvement in him playing football. So Kyle just made the right decision. I think that this offseason is all about Kyle admitting that he failed in some things, and CJ Beathard is a huge part of it.
Because whenever he would talk about CJ Beathard, he's like, man, basically I had to bench him because the fans got mad. I never wanted to bench him. He had to play too early. If you compare his numbers early in his career, they're a lot like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
People are too hard on him. I think he's a hell of a player. That's what he always said. And then finally, when it was time to pony up and be like, all right, if you think he's really Kirk Cousins 2.0, re-sign him. Bring him back. And they're like, you know what? Nah, we're going to sign Nate Sudfeld instead. Good job, Kyle. I mean, you never said the truth about CJ Beathard, but you spoke the truth by not bringing him back. I really thought they would, man. I really thought they would. But you know what? I think they would have. We just really put our foot down hard, and we did a good job of that this offseason. We would have lost our mind, and I don't think the Niners can handle that right now.
Yeah, I think that quality control was decent this year, at least decent, but
they still finished 6-10, so we don't need to really be patting ourselves in the back too much.
Yeah.
We did okay. We had moments.
Yeah.
We had moments. Yeah, that's like the Niners.
Moments, I think.
So good. CJ, goodbye. Don't know how you spent 4 years here. You really made Nick Mullins look good the entire time. So that's your legacy. Napa says, what former Niner you think is most likely to coach? CJ. I'm just kidding. Nick Mullins.
Joe Staley.
Joe Staley. Dude, Joe Staley is so rich. I think he's going to live the good life in San Diego, man. Coaching is a hard job. It's more than a 9 to 5. It's a 7 to 11. It's a 7 to 11. Okay. And it's 6 days a week, 7 days a week, man. You got to really love the sport to want to work that hard. It's not glamorous. I think Nick Mullins fits that. He's not going to make a ton of money in the NFL.
And after those disastrous years with the 49ers, don't you think that Joe Staley is in love with the sport? Because I do think that he is in love with the sport, and at some point he will come back and teach.
If I were him, I would just teach. I would like coach at a high school in San Diego rather than coming back up here. Like, just chill out down there, Joe. Live the good life. Have you seen Joe? He looks like he's 245 pounds. He looks amazing. Good job, Joe.
Yeah, he looks like right now, looks like a Marvel superhero right now. So
it's amazing. I almost feel like he was like, man, I've been kind of chubby my whole life. I don't really want to be 300 pounds anymore. Like, can I just have a good looking bod before I hit 40? And like, yeah, dude, go for it, man. You don't need to be like, look at Mcglinchey right now. We're going to get to him in a minute, but he looks good, but he also looks terrible. Like, he looked way better last year at 280, right? He was slim. Now he's like got a little tire around his stomach. And it's like, good luck. Good job. That's what you need to look like for the next 10 years. It's like, oh, dang. I was looking kind of fit last year. Sorry, man. You want to play offensive line. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, but
you saw that video of Tristan Wirfs eating like the whole house in a day, right? That's you, man. You got to do that.
Yeah, but sorry. I would say that Frank Gore could be a great coach as well.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he's the kind of guy that I think is obsessed enough with football to do it, even though he's rich and doesn't have to. Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, we haven't ran him out of town just yet, but it's a matter of time. Trey Lance is here. We got them to admit that he was not the future and get a new quarterback. Last year, we couldn't even get the Niners to ditch Jimmy Garoppolo for Tom freaking Brady. The Niners were like, nah, Brady's a little old. Maybe we need to see a little more from Jimmy. Okay, you saw 6 more games from Jimmy. That's it. They went from, no, we don't want Tom Brady. We want Jimmy too. Okay, we saw the next 6 starts from Jimmy. Get him the hell out of here. Replace him with a guy who just turned 21. I think that's a huge victory for us, man. This is, if I could have told you last year that we could pull this off, you'd be like, really? Wow, we're good.
Yeah. But I still think that the best decision was to trade for Matt Stafford until Trey Lance. And I still think that the Rams are going to be a much harder opponent this season than they were in the past few years. And I really think that this season they can beat the 49ers. That's why I'm not so positive as I was when we drafted finally Trey Lance, not Mac Jones and Justin Fields and all those guys out there. But I'm happy because we can get rid of Jimmy and his legacy with the roller coaster of death from the game against Arizona. I'm just happy. I'm just happy that we can get rid of Jimmy this season. It's a huge victory, as you said before. We did our job with that. I remember first time when I was here in your show, what I did was I was constantly roasting Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was it. And finally kind of realized that we were right with Jimmy.
It would have been really easy for the Niners to say, you know what, we like Jimmy. Jimmy got hurt. We win with Jimmy. We're not going to overreact. We're going to keep Jimmy one more year. He got hurt. He got hurt week 2. Give him people get hurt. We're not going to write him off. We're going to keep Jimmy, and we're going to upgrade the backup quarterback position. We're going to go get Gardner Minshew. We're going to go get Sam Darnold so that if Jimmy goes down again, they could have done that. And it almost sounded like they were leaning that direction earlier in the offseason. And again, you and I were like, hold on. You're going to do the Jimmy Garoppolo experience again? You're going to let him ruin another season by getting hurt? Or really? And I feel like once again, we brought this to the fans, and we're like, they could seriously bring Jimmy Garoppolo back. Everyone, express how mad that would make you to have another year of Jimmy Garoppolo. And the Niners are like, man, we can't sell this anymore. We got to move on. We went from turning down Tom Brady to turning our back on Jimmy Garoppolo in a year. And that's because us and the fans were like, enough of Jimmy Garoppolo. We rejected him.
Yeah. And right now I do think that in the first moment when for example, Jimmy just is going to break one of his nails on his foot, they will just replace him with Trey Lance. That is going to happen. I'm not going to be surprised if that is going to happen. I think that somehow things turned out to the favor of Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that this was the first year when he was really genius in the offseason.
Yeah. Well, it was us. It was really, I'm not going to give him that credit. It was us. So when Jimmy is, in wherever he ends up for the rest of his career, New England again or Houston, let's say he goes to Houston. And when he's playing for the worst team in the league and really questioning whether he wants to stay in the NFL and thinking, I had it good in San Francisco. I was winning. The team was good. I could have stayed there. He's going to sit up in the middle of the night and go, Botond! Because it was your fault. You ran him out of town, man. Sorry, Jimmy. Botond got you all the way from Hungary, man. He got you.
Sorry, mate.
Take it as a loss. Sorry, man. Mark says, do you think Ayuk blows up as a premier receiver in the NFL this season? I think Ayuk's ascension is going to coincide with Trey Lance's ascension because as long as Jimmy's on this team, no wide receiver is getting the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it depends on how George Kittle plays next season because if he can get back into his Pro Bowl form, I think that no one could get more receiving yards than him in this team. So he will just drain all those receiving yards from his teammates. I don't think that Ayuk is going to be our premier receiver next season. I think that right now, I think that Debo will just be the second guy who is going to create some great plays. I think that he is going to have a premier year.
Jimmy Telenovela 2022. I don't know what that means, but I like it. If someone can explain that, I'm in. Adam brings up a good point. He says, please, can we just remember that Jimmy got hit low illegally because Tomlinson got whooped by Quinnen Williams? I wouldn't go ahead and say it was illegal. I mean, come on, man. It's football. Although I know they've changed the rules, but okay. But yeah, he got hit low. That's true. Got whooped by Quinnen Williams. Yeah, that's true. The team rushed him back. Yeah, that's true. After 2 weeks because this team panicked.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's all true. That was the thing we said during the start of the season, during the first 4 or 6 weeks, that there were so many mental breakdowns during this season, during last season in this team, that you just can't say it's okay. So yeah, it was kind of soap opera.
Spanish soap opera is what it means. I'm sorry, I took French in high school because I really wanted to study a language that would have zero utility for me and something that I would never actually be able to understand or speak. I mean, I always did well in the tests in French, but when it was time to listen to someone speak that language, I'm like, whoa, what? I'm sorry, pardon?
Well, I can give you some Hungarian classes if you want. If I know that that there are 3 or 4 towns around the world where people are speaking Hungarian.
There you go.
In Africa, there's a street in the US, in San Francisco, or in Chicago. I'm sorry. And there's a whole street in England, and that's all. Those are the towns where people use this Hungarian language.
Wow. And maybe in Oakland too, if I learned too. I just imagine that Hungarians enunciate more than French people. French people just talk like this the whole time. It's like, what? Can you open your mouth for a second, please? Everything you just said ran together. At least I never took Spanish, but Spanish people really enunciate the language. I'm like, I totally understand. I never took that language, and I think I get what you just said. But French is man, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. Can you write that down? Can you put that on a piece of paper? And also, French people don't like you speaking their language. I went to Paris when I was 18, and I was like, man, I've taken this language since 7th grade. I got this. And they could hear just a little bit of an accent, and they just respond to you in English like, I hate you, American. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Like, I'm sorry. Why did I do this? Why did I take this line? Anyway, tomorrow, can you watch Lance's back foot during practice? Tends to get inaccurate when he starts to lift it off the ground instead of driving through. I absolutely will look at that. Thank you, Jordan, for focusing my attention. That's a great idea. Good observation.
Could be a great issue with his throwing motion if he just cannot have a good balance during the throw. So yeah, it's kind of important for the.
Watch out, Trey! I'll run you out of town if you don't get that right. Because I'm not done with people. I got one more person that we ran out of town. Now this guy never technically was in town, but it was close, man. It was super duper close. From what's been reported, this was going to be the pick, and Kyle essentially got overruled the Monday before the draft. And you can't tell me that he got overruled because John Lynch made an impassioned speech behind closed doors. No. This was us. This was us and the fans. The fans were angry, and we really elevated their voices and made it real clear. If the Niners do this, Kyle Shanahan will immediately be on the hot seat. It'll be the worst decision of his career, and it will get him fired. I don't know if he heard it, but the organization heard it, and he got vetoed. This is my proudest achievement, really, in my career. that I blocked Mac Jones from the 49ers. You and I almost single-handedly. Good for you.
Well, to be honest, I still think that if I am just watching him playing American football, he was the safest pick on a short term during the draft. But after all those personal issues that that all the writers around the US wrote down, I was like, okay, just don't draft him. Don't ever try to draft him. And the other issue that I had was that my fiance likes me with my growing dead body, and I didn't want any concurrence to be on the roster because, I was afraid when we got Jimmy because my girlfriend said that he was handsome, and with that dead body trend, I was like, okay, I don't want that guy to play for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That was scary. That was scary. Look, I really think that Mac Jones would be the quarterback on this team right now if we hadn't thrown a stink. Now, Kyle set himself up. If he wanted Mac Jones, trading up a month before the draft was ridiculous because we made the pick. You let us make the pick, man. I mean, the Niners made it real clear who they wanted, who they didn't want, and you weren't going to go against that avalanche. You weren't. So if you had just stayed at 12 and drafted Mac Jones, you could have had him. And the Niner fans would have been happy, I swear. If they had stayed at 12 and they'd come up with Mac Jones, they wouldn't have had a month to dread it, a month to think about it and be like, nah, I hate this guy. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. They could have had him, Kyle, and you messed up and you put the ball in our court, and we I don't know. I don't want to mix metaphors here, but we knocked it out of the park. Yeah, it was a tennis game, then it turned into a baseball game, and now it's, I don't know what it is. But Mac Jones is on the Patriots, and I'm a little sad. We could have had a lot of fun, Botond. We could have had a lot of fun. Yeah. But oh well.
Yeah, I think that could have been the first time since I don't know how many years when we could have seen a 49ers player smoking a cigarette during a game, drinking beer during a game, gambling after games. I will miss all those problematic quarterback things that we missed out with Mac Jones. But to be honest, I'm happy that we don't have him. I'm pretty sure that most of the fans would have ripped Kyle's head off if we would if we drafted Mac Jones. So I'm happy that we don't have him. I think that he is in a great place with the New England Patriots because when NFL started here in Hungary back then, most of the people here in Hungary were Patriots fans. Right now, most of the people who are NFL fans here in Hungary are Patriots fans, and I just want to see them suffer.
Yeah,
I just want to see them suffer for the next few years because here in Hungary, there's a tradition when your team is in a winning tendency, then you must be an a-hole for the rest of the season, and you must make other people feel that you are better than them just because Bill Belichick is your coach and Tom Brady is your quarterback. But right now you have Mac Jones, guys.
Yeah, enjoy that. Ben says, I think the media tries so hard to create narratives and fake storylines to prove they had the right sources. Yada, yada, yada. It's all BS. They were never going to get Mac. Hey, man, here's the thing. Because Botond and I did the Lord's work and prevented Mac Jones from coming here, you get to live in blissful ignorance, thinking that the Niners were always going to do the right thing and that they don't make mistakes and that we're not necessary. So you know what? Please do believe that. It's nice to be able to live in a world where you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and this right here. So, hey, we did our work, not for the credit, even though we're patting ourselves on the back, but so people like you can go on having faith in the 49ers. We're just trying to help the faithful. And I think we're doing a great job.
Yeah, we are just sitting here waiting for a phone call from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. We just want to hear all their good words for us because I know that we made that happen. We made all these fantastic things happen. So, Kyle and
Daniel, I'm coming back to your question. Don't worry, man. I got you. I just needed to bump this one up front because it was so good. But Daniel says you're changing the topic. So we're going to go with this real quick. How's Josh Rosen looking in practice? Starter? I haven't seen him in practice yet. Tomorrow's the first day. I will be there. I can't wait. I've been saying this. I've been expecting the Niners to cut Rosen. Like my biggest nightmare is I'm sleeping and then Rosen's cut and I never got to see him in practice. Like, no! I think he's going to be there tomorrow. I think I'm going to see Josh Rosen practice with the 49ers. I'm really excited about that because who's to say he won't be the best quarterback on the field on May 25th? And I mean, Jimmy stinks. I've seen that. Trey Lance is 21. I don't know what to expect from him. Nate Sudfeld. I'm really excited to see what Josh Rosen can do. He's been on this team for 7 months. He's a smart kid. If he is engaged, he should be pretty good. I can't wait to see it.
Well, I'm not on the same page with you about Josh Rosen because I don't think that he can ever be a starter in the NFL, a true starter in the NFL, or a true franchise quarterback in the NFL. And it's because all those bad years at the start of his career. Because I think that those things are not just gone. There are some wounds inside you which other people cannot see, or you just can't see, or you just can't help yourself to get rid of them. So I don't think that he will be a starter for the NFL. In the NFL, I don't think that he can beat Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. But yeah, I have high hopes. If he can be a great backup quarterback, I'm happy with that.
Cool. Also, film room Josh Rosen, I got you. I will do that soon because you never know. He could get cut this afternoon. I'll do that as soon as possible. Good call. I hope they don't cut him though. Just give him an OTA. Can he have one OTA to prove himself? This guy's been thrown out so quickly, man. One OTA, maybe one preseason game. Can I see him in a preseason game? No. Okay. So those are all the players that we ran out of town. All of them deserved it. All of them I'm proud of. It wasn't anything personal. It's just what we've been hired to do as quality control. This is the job. It's not pretty, but it's what we do. There are two players, though, that we really have been campaigning hard to also get run out of town. At the Niners, they drew the line. They said, you know what? No, we're giving another chance to two players, starting with Mike Mcglinchey.
My favorite.
And what I want to say with Mike is, I haven't seen him in person yet, but I saw a picture of him reporting to OTAs, and he definitely looks bigger than last year. Last year, he looked like a 285. Now it looks like he's got 20 pounds on him, 20 extra pounds. Not a muscle, but 20 pounds, which is a necessary start for Mike Mcglinchey. I don't think it's going to make him a great offensive tackle, but it might make him not a bad one. So I guess I see what the Niners are why they kept him, but I'm still a little skeptical. What do you think?
Well, he was the fifth worst tackle when we are talking about pass protection.
Yeah.
You can blame the weight loss that he had for last season because he really looked like a pass protecting tight end, but not an offensive tackle.
He looked like Levine Toilolo.
One more time, please.
He looked like Levine Toilolo last year.
Yeah.
A 6'8" tight end who was about 270, 280. Yeah.
I really want to see him this season with that weight that he has right now. I'm pretty sure that he will be better at pass protection, but I still don't think of him as a great quarterback protector. He may be great during the running game because he was the second best last season when we are talking about running game. But well, I'm curious, but I don't think that he will just be great next season. But if he's going to be at least decent during pass protecting, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it seems at 330. I mean, if he weighs 310, let's say he weighs 310, he should at least be strong enough to hold his ground. Both, against run game, pass game. He got thrown around. He ended up on his back once a game. That was the problem. There'd be a clip every game where it's like, oh, there's Mike Mcglinchey flailing around looking like, a kid in a wave pool. He's like, dude, can you stay on your feet, please? That's a nickelback who knocked you over. He shouldn't have that issue this year, but he's always going to be mechanical and robotic in pass protection, which to me is like, how can you ever really have a drop back passing team? If Trey Lance becomes a great quarterback and you can throw the ball 50 times a game, you don't have a right tackle who can protect 50 times a game.
Yeah.
He's built for run blocking and play action. So
yeah, that's the issue. That's why
I'm still skeptical on Mcglinchey.
Yeah, that's why I think that we will get rid of him in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the Niners want to give him one more chance.
Yeah.
He's still on his rookie deal. They don't save any money by getting rid of him. Kind of like the way Solomon Thomas hung around for 4 years when he should have been gone after 1.
Yeah.
So Mcglinchey, okay, like try to salvage something, get his weight up, see what he can do with 310 pounds. But I have a feeling this guy should be gone already and will be gone next year. But I'm open-minded. Mike, come on, man. Let's see what you got. I'm open-minded.
Yeah, prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong, baby. I want to be proven. I love being proven wrong. I don't have to be right.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is to say I was wrong. One more guy, though, and I don't know if I'm going to be wrong about this guy. Arik Armstead. Arik Armstead's a better player than Mike Mcglinchey. Arik Armstead has totally different issues. Mike Mcglinchey is like, it's like, man, you're like a fringe athlete. Like, you're not as athletic as we think you are. Armstead's very athletic. His issue to me is effort. It's like, man, you float around games. You'll have weeks, months where I'm like, I didn't see Arik Armstead this month. I don't know what he was doing in those games. Maybe his run defense was technically sound, but you're paid to be an impact player. They're giving you $17 million a year. You don't touch the quarterback. I'm sorry, man. Like, you had a great year in 2019, but how much do you love football? Are you ever going to do that again? What is your commitment? What is your passion? These are questions I have about Arik.
Wow. The thing with Arik is that from the start, from his second year, where he shined was during the running game because of his athleticism, because of his size, because that unique combination of size and athleticism that he has. But you are not paying $17 million for a defensive lineman who just great against the running game. And in 2019, he was great only because those other 3 guys who were on the defensive line. I wrote that.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of those sacks he had in 2019 were like Kerry Hyder sacks, where it's like plays going on for a long time and he sticks with it, or the quarterback is like fleeing from Nick Bosa or D Ford or DeForest Buckner and runs right into Arik Armstead. Arik Armstead is very athletic. He's super strong. He's very good at like manhandling a guard in front of him. But that's not the sport. It's not sumo wrestling. You got to get rid of that guard and find the quarterback or the ball carrier. And I feel like he's got tunnel vision on the field, man. He's so caught up with proving that he's physically dominant over a guard and doesn't make the play. Dude, you got to make the play. They kept you. They got rid of Buckner and kept you because they felt you're an impact player too. But you're not. You're not worth $17 million. You could say, hey, it was the right move to trade DeForest Buckner. Maybe. No. But it wasn't the right move to give you $17 million. It wasn't. They could have got rid of both of you, man. And they should have got rid of you. So you're going to have to show, not that you're like a solid player, but that you're an impact player. Yeah. And unless he can do that, I still think we were right. And we should have ran him out of town. I tried. Only problem was the alternatives I set up were no good. I was like, they should sign Jadeveon Clowney instead of Arik Armstead. Well, Clowney stinks too. So that wasn't the one. But I got to take personal. This was my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that Arik has the most things to prove in 2021 because we got rid of DeForest Buckner and we kept him. And we all knew that DeForest Buckner is a no-brainer all-pro every year since he plays American football in the NFL. And we kept a guy who had a great season just because of Bosa and Buckner and DeFord. And him being alone on the defensive line wasn't a great choice. He never had his moments to shine. He was only great when those other 3 guys made him the space to be great against quarterbacks. I've never seen him just beating a single offensive tackle on a short play. I don't think that he can generate pressure on a short passing game.
Right.
You don't pay that much of money for a guy like that. That's why I think that he has to prove that he is great, that he deserves that money. If he cannot do that, then we should just cut him.
Yeah, but they can't. I mean, they're really into him. The contract's hard to move. This is another guy like Jerick McKinnon and Pierre Garçon. But really, Arik Armstead is a poster boy for this. A guy who's going to live a life of wealth that he didn't earn because the 49ers made one bad decision. Like, he should be a rich guy. He was a first-round pick, but he's going to live a life of outrageous wealth because the Niners made a horrendous decision. I mean, he's going to be drinking Perrier out the bottle the rest of his life, just walking around Perrier in his hand all day. I do that, though. That's my little flex, just walk around Perrier. You want to look hard and rich at the same time, carry around Perrier, man. I'm just saying. That's our show, man. I got nothing else. We did a lot of good work this offseason, man, and now we got to see what happens in OTAs, I guess.
Yeah.
We did our part.
I'm curious. I just want to see those guys that we drafted shine during the OTAs. I'm waiting for your report. I just want them to prove me wrong, because there were some picks that I didn't like, that I think was a reach. For example, Banks, I still think that he was a reach. I just want those guys to prove me that I was wrong.
Right. Banks is supposed to be an impact player starter right away. So let's see it, dude. Yeah. High expectations. No learning curve for you. Yeah. Botond, thank you so much, as always, for giving me an hour. It's really late in Hungary. It's 4 a.m. over there right now. I'm just kidding. But
8 p.m., but it's okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Vish is back this week. Last week, he was on vacation. This week, he's back, but he's working. He's a 21-year-old kid with an internship. So 5 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Pacific time, Mondays with Vish. That's the new time for the offseason. I'll see you guys later in the day. I'll probably go on Twitch in the middle sometime. So if you're into that, you want to hang out, I'll be there. I'll talk to you then. Thanks, Botond.
See ya.